What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice, and it is a live stream. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in right now. Shoot, almost 300 people in this stream already, and I haven't even opened, I haven't even started a dialogue yet. That's crazy. Thank you guys, everyone that's tuning in, whether you're watching on X or on YouTube. Please be sure to like the stream wherever you are watching. And be sure to comment. It helps it get out to more people, and the likes as well. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. I greatly encourage you guys to do that. Guys, we are having quite the day for the Indianapolis Colts fan base right now. And I haven't gotten a chance to say my piece yet, and hopefully I can potentially get someone on at some point to join me in this stream. But I'll tell you what, guys, this is a very interesting day because Colts Nation was woken up by hold on, let me pause. Let me back up here. Let me pause here. I'm going to start this off by saying this. First of all, regardless of what happens here, and most people know what I'm about to reference here. If you haven't been on hold on one second, guys. But if you haven't seen on Twitter, there's some disputes going on. But anyways, I'm going to just say it right off the bat, guys. There is no reason for this to divide anyone listen, we all want the same thing, and that is to have some news about L'Jarius Sneed one way or the other. So, listen, I've heard some of the things about, obviously some guys are stressed, some guys are receiving threats. And I just want to say right now, that is unacceptable. This is, yes, it's a way of life for some people, but for the majority of us, this is just strictly entertainment. And I don't really care which side you're on with it, but I do ask that everyone remain respectful of both sides going on here. Okay. It really isn't worth the time, honestly. If you want to be angry with one side or the other, go right ahead. But it is one thing. It is an entirely different thing to just completely go out there and start threatening people's lives. It's just not worth it. It's not. Okay. And Matt was saying the same thing there. People can be passionate without going overboard 100%. But anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and get this going here in a second. But yeah. Okay. So let's look at this, guys. So Colts Nation was woken up this morning by the news that Dustin Adams had reported this morning. And if you guys haven't know who Dustin Adams is, I highly encourage you guys check him out on Twitter. He put out an article this morning that said that everything is pretty much in place. The only thing that is missing at this point is working out some final details on a trade, and had reported that the Colts are sending a third rounder this year and an additional pick in 2025. But from what we have heard while I was at work, and unfortunately, and shout out to the 1,200 people watching right now, guys. So please be sure to like the stream wherever you're watching, please, and thank you. Be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe, all that great stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. But then we saw this morning as well from Stephen Holder, who had put out some initial tweets that said he was responding to somebody who said that the Colts are trading for Sneed and said that it is not accurate. And he said, in fact, I'm leaning heavily toward that trade not happening at all. And also even went fully down as to say, I was told this unequivocally from the highest levels of the Colts organization that there is no trade in place between the Colts and L'Jarius Sneed. Now, again, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say the problem I'm having with a couple different things. Right now, I'm more leaning towards the side of what Destin Adams, Captain Colt on Twitter are saying, Cam Marino are saying, things like that, because the problem that I see with this is it's not just Destin that has been reporting on this issue. It has been a bunch of different people who have said that there is serious interest with the Indianapolis Colts and L'Jarius Sneed. And for him to suggest that there's no trade in place at all, I don't know whether or not he's insinuating that there's even a trade at all, like as if the Colts aren't in cahoots with it, or if they just haven't figured out like the full trade yet. Because listen, because the problem I have with the statement, and again, listen, I'm being respectful to both sides here. I will go right off the bat and I will say the longer this news takes to break, the more I start to lean to that side. Because we've been hearing that for like a couple days now, that's been the thing that's holding this all up, and we're not seeing it, right? We're not hearing anything. And it's very shocking to me that Indy would have had the trade done, but yet it's been this long to take. And I will also say to this point that when it comes to the sources thing, my issue is like the big guys like Rappaport. And also, guys, I am going to be bringing in Silu at Dropped Balls pod here, bringing him in here to shed some light on this. He's been very vocal. All right. So, there hasn't really been anyone on the big national side of things that has put anything out. And I've been flabbergasted by that there hasn't been any bigger response to this. But at the same time, I sit here and I say to myself, well, look, the Indianapolis Colts, if they have made a trade with Kansas City, they can take as long as they want to fix the contract problem. That's something that that's something that can take as long as they want. But I mean, the problem is we have one side saying that there is no serious talks here for the Colts and the Chiefs. And you got a couple other people on the one side that are saying this deal is done. It's there. It just needs to have a few things figured out, but it's practically done. So I'm struggling with this because I am trying to find the happy medium here, and I'm just like the rest of you. I'm just like the rest of you. I just want this news to be done one way or the other. I just want to be able to have this discussion and just be able to move on. And shout out to the 2,000 people that are watching this right now. Guys, we're going to bring in Chris Lewis here. C-Lou coming in. He has been at the forefront of a lot of this, talking with a bunch of guys about this. But I want to bring him in here real quick to talk with me about it. Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm good. Just seeing everything play out.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, I mean, it's kind of funny. This is my first time actually talking with you like this. Welcome to the show. Greatly
Appreciate it.
appreciate you hopping on here and discussing things with me. We do have 2,100 people in here, so no pressure. But hey, listen, man, like before we get too deep into everything that's going on, like talk to me what's going through your mind right now when you're seeing all this and you're seeing this dispute between sources and debating whether or not this Sneed thing's actually going to work out. Like, what's going on with you?
Yeah, my thing is people got to be patient. People just got to wait, let this thing play out before they start trying to drag people. Um, everything in the NFL is fluid. Like that's what I don't think people really understand. And as Colts fans, we should be able to understand that more than a lot. Because we literally had a head coach say he was coming to us, everything get announced, and next thing you know, he changes courses and decides to stay with the Patriots. Like we've seen that happen before. So I think people just gotta slow down and let this whole thing play out. Also, one of the things too, I want everybody to remember, the Colts and the Chiefs are usually two teams that hold everything close to the chest. They don't let things get out to the national media. So that's why you see a lot of the local media reporting on it versus the national media getting it. And I think even with like DeForest Buckner back in 2020, a lot of that didn't get out until the trade was actually made.
Yeah.
So I think people got to remember that before they start talking about, oh, well, the national media isn't reporting on it, this, that, and the third. So I think people just got to stay patient. I think it'll get done. I still think Sneed coming to Indy.
Okay, so you're still staying steady fast with what the local guy has been saying where it's been done. It's just basically having some issues with the contract. You're staying with that one?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is that that it gets done. I think maybe they had everything done and then maybe something last minute changed. Like I think things are more fluid than people want to give it credit or want to really admit. Um, but I ultimately think a deal gets done and he's in Indy.
Yeah, so again, shout out to everybody watching the stream right now. The numbers just keep climbing, almost 2,500 in here now. Thank you to everybody who is tuning in. If anyone wants to go from Twitter and then head to YouTube, that would be very much appreciated as well. Make sure to like the stream, guys, again, wherever you're watching. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's been a wild day, man. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, it has been a wild day. And, I was at work this morning and I saw the news. Actually, I didn't even see the news first. I actually saw a text from Cody that told me first that we got Sneed. And I was like, let's go and everything. And I'm like, oh gosh. But then, Cody was like, "Well, I'm gonna wait and make a video until it's held off."
Yeah.
And then, what, like at 10 a.m. as well, Stephen Holder puts out this tweet, a couple of different tweets saying the exact opposite of what's going on. Um, I mean, I don't, I'm struggling here, and forgive me, I'm gonna do my best to try to create a good conversation out of this because I'm still trying to collectively put all these pieces together in my own head.
Yeah.
I think the more I think about it and just listening to how this is being played out is it's one guy's word versus what, like three or four other people who have been very close to this situation that have all said that Indy is either working on it or has basically had it done at this point. And so it's like, I'm pretty sure they all don't have the same source. So, I mean, I hear that, and I lean more towards the side of Destin and Captain Colt and Cam Marino and a few of these other guys, because I hear Stephen Holder say, like, I was told a bunch by, the top level people in the Colts organization. But I hear that and I say, like, who is the top level of the organization that's telling you this? I don't, because I know it ain't Jim Irsay that's telling you this.
Yeah.
I know it's not Chris Ballard. I know it's not like Morocco Brown and Ed Dodds and these guys that are telling you. So, like, who is it, like, in the scouting department that's telling you that? Because, and to not crap on anyone's sources, but, like, there's probably some dudes who are focused on the draft right now that have been told to just shut up about it and not say anything. So, like, they're being told, hey, if anyone asks you,
tell
just
them
say
no.
it ain't happening.
Yep.
So, like, I'm wondering, is that the case here?
And also I go back to what because my thing too. So I woke up to a text message from my girlfriend saying, "Hey babe, wake up! Colts Twitter's going crazy or something." So that hop on Twitter immediately, like, hold on, what I missed? Like, what's going on? And then I see, like, everything between Dustin and Captain Colt and Stephen Holder and all of those people. But then I go back and I look at the tweet that Stephen Holder sent out yesterday, and to me, it kind of contradicts what he sent out today, because yesterday it was pretty much the situation would be kind of like a sign and trade. The most challenging part is the contract, because I got the tweet put on. He said, regarding Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, who was franchise and given permission to seek a trade, my understanding is the holdup is less about KC's willingness to trade him and more about the challenge of agreeing to a new contract. That kind of goes against some of what he said today, but it lines up what everybody was saying yesterday about, a deal possibly being done. The contract was holding everything up. So to me, it's like you said, maybe somebody he spoke to, because I don't think he's going to go to somebody and they're going to be like, oh yeah, this, whatever. It could be where we can't say nothing about it. Just say nothing's going on. Like, just say nothing's going on and leave it at that. I don't know, man. I feel like it's done. I feel like the Colts are just holding it out until they're ready to release it.
Yeah,
and I could be wrong, but
yeah,
that's
I
how I
mean,
feel.
it's so weird because even Cam Marino, I just brought this thing back up because I just saw a couple other things happening. He said, so the L'Jarius Sneed situation has basically become a shit show. Had reports this morning that a trade was done. I addressed the reports, never once confirmed them, and then says, I don't think a trade happens.
Who said that?
I think he returns Cam Marino, one of the few guys that's been, like, on the side of Destin and Captain Colt, who have been saying that the Colts have been at the front of this. And then he said, time will tell. And then just kind of looking at a couple other things, saying nobody really knows what's going on. And then somebody else is saying the L'Jarius Sneed front, he said that basically the asking price is the issue, and said the Colts and the Titans are the two top teams trying to execute a trade, but Sneed's price is too high. And he even said, like, he's an expensive player. He's going to get expensive return. Said, I don't know if an agreement will be made. So I'm like, and that's been another one that's confused me. I didn't want to include Cam in this at first because this guy has been going back and forth on this issue the whole time. And and listen, I said it before, I'm not crapping on anyone's sources, and everyone's got their own opinion on it. But I mean, he was one of the few guys that immediately was saying the Colts are the front runner in this. And it seems like a deal is close to being done. And then said, oh, well, I've heard differently. He's coming back to Kansas City. And then sure enough, I have another thing coming out where he says that, oh no, it's actually back on. And, the Colts, the deal is practically done from what I'm hearing. and then immediately just jumps to the I think he just stays. I mean, I don't know what to believe with him, so I feel like I have to stick with either the Holder news or the Destin Adams and Captain Colt news, where they have. And I'll say this: Captain Colt has been on fire lately. He's literally been like, he's saying, I am 100% sure of this, and I'm not flinching at all. Like, I've heard what I've heard, and I'm sticking with it. Like, I've heard it, and it's gonna get done. You just got to give it time. I'm just wondering what's taking it so long, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I want to say Paul Kaharski, I think he's a Titans guy. But as of like 5:48 p.m. Well, I'm on the West Coast, so as of 5:48 p.m. Western time, 8:48 Eastern time, or Pacific time, Eastern time, he said the Titans were not in for L'Jarius Sneed. So that's another thing where it's like the Colts and the Titans are the two favorites, and then you have somebody else who's a Titans guy saying the Titans aren't in on them. So I don't know, man. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy start to free agency, or start to the offseason. But that's the Colts off season all the time, where everything just gets crazy and it just seems like it's a shit show.
It is definitely very weird. And another reason, another thing too is, I mean, let me pull this up because Zaire Franklin just out here be trolling people. I mean,
I saw that this morning.
This tweet right here, like this dude right here just tweeting this right in the middle of all this, and we like, bro, don't be doing that. You got to be knowing something. That is another thing that makes me think that he knows something that we don't know, because you be putting that out there. You ain't just going to be putting that out there just because, if you ain't happy about about knowing something. So I feel like he knows one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tea leaves out there. I guess it's which ones do you want to follow? Which ones are you reading? But there's a lot of stuff out there, and like you said, with Zaire putting that out there 5 hours ago when all this other news broke, it's like, what's really going on?
Yeah, literally. He's such a troll, man. I want to be able to have this deal get done, because if it does, then I mean, we're supposed to be giving away a Zaire Franklin jersey. So I mean, it's one of those things. I really want to be able to get rid of this. I mean, the other reason why I think the majority of people are leaning on Destin's side of this, at least for now, is because, I mean, I don't know if you have a differing opinion on this, because you maybe have seen things that he's tweeted that I haven't, but mainly I've never seen Destin put something out that and not be careful with his words when he doesn't know something, because I don't think he doesn't have the luxury of doing that. Whereas someone like Holder has that ability to do that, because he still has a job with, ESPN at the end of the day, one way or the other. Because I mean, people kept talking about the mess up with Jonathan Taylor, where people were talking about how he said there's no way that Jonathan Taylor comes back because he doesn't want to be here. Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor specifically said there was never a point in time that I didn't want to be in Indianapolis. We were just having disputes on the contract. So I've wondered that, like, is it just because Holder is like basically just interpreting things in a different way than what people are actually talking about? I don't know, but it's definitely led to a lot of entertainment here today. I don't even know what I just want it to be over at this point. I don't even care who's right or wrong. I just want it to be over, so I know if I need to be angry or if I need to be happy, one way or the other.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, and that was I was gonna say that too. My experience, with following Dustin and everything is that anytime he's put out information, he's been real careful. Um, and he hasn't been unless he really knows something, he doesn't give like a definitive tweet. What he did this morning was a very definitive tweet. So that leads me to believe like the information he got was what he got. And he checked it and he went forward with it. But I've never seen him put out like I've seen him show like, or put out stuff like, oh, the Colts have interest in so and so or whatever, and it didn't happen. But I mean that's the business of the NFL. Players have a chance to go wherever they want to go. They don't have to go to a team that shows interest. But like he's never really, just straight up came out and said something that wasn't a fact if he didn't have the information. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy to see. But and like you said, Stephen Holder, at the end of the day, he still has ESPN to fall back on. And and like he's part of a huge brand already. So it really doesn't matter. He go back to his job and do what he's doing. Um, and people are still going to read his material and do all that different stuff. But um, so I don't know. Like, and he's good at backtracking. He's good at backpedaling. He backpedaled the whole thing with JT. Like when you like you said, the him putting it out saying that JT doesn't want to be here or be in Indy. And he came out after that and was like, oh, well, the situation seems to be getting better. Like the, he's able to backpedal like that and nobody's going to question it.
He can afford to mince his words a little bit, just mainly because of, you could say one thing, but in that moment, it doesn't add much. But
Yeah.
then when it changes, then it's like, well, I was told at this time that's what was going on. And then you can backtrack to it. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. And I know Stephon Diggs has nothing to do with the Colts, but obviously this he just tweeted. So I mean, we've heard reports of him potentially getting traded somewhere. So I mean, very interesting stuff there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, this whole thing is turned into something it probably didn't need to turn into.
I'm just struggling because, like, I mentioned it in a video the other day, or it might have been on a live stream, and I was saying how with this happening right now, you can tell that this is all that Ballard has been focusing on, because outside of the move for Joe Flacco in the last few days, I mean, there hasn't been anything for
Yeah.
Indy. I mean, virtually nothing. So, I mean, it's been a very strange set of circumstances for this. And shout out to the 4,200 people watching now. Be sure
Shout
to
out to
like the
y'all.
stream, guys, please. Be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe. Thank you to everybody that is tuning in right now. Come on over to YouTube, guys, and click on the channel link, please. But yeah, like it makes me nervous, man. And with this, do you have any concern that the longer this takes, the more that Indy could be missing out on like being able to fix other parts of the team? Because we keep talking about the safety room. Like Ballard's got to make a move on that still in free agency. My only concern is if he keeps waiting on this too long, then something else is going to happen and we might miss the guy that we actually want to get.
Yeah, I do think that could happen. It seems like they've put all their eggs in the L'Jarius Sneed basket. And that's holding off like going after Condre Diggs or Justin Simmons or whoever, which again, apparently there's mutual interest with Condre Diggs. But I think it could hold things up. Or maybe, I mean, maybe like because to me, those are the two top safeties right now, Quandre and Justin. And they're probably waiting for this whole thing to figure itself out. And then they move forward from there. I mean, and even if we don't get Sneed, there's some other options at cornerback that we can go. Or maybe, I mean, I don't want it to happen, but maybe that's what pick 15 is going to be. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways they can go about it, but I do think they have all the eggs in one basket right now, and it's kind of messing everything else up. Because they got to get that contract done and then see how much money they got left over to go get a safety.
So let me ask you this: if Indy doesn't land Sneed, let's just say hypothetical here that they don't land Sneed somehow.
Mhm.
Whether that's his price never comes down and Indy just doesn't want to spend $25 million a year on him. Uh, or the Kansas City decides last second, oh, we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're just going to live with what we got. And then that happens. Does it feel like to you in a way the Indianapolis Colts lost the offseason? Because I think for me, when I'm not saying like, oh, Indy has completely fallen off. I mean, obviously re-signing most, if not all of your guys, you're going to be running it back with a lot of the same team, and you're still going to be a good team that's still going to be able to compete. But I mean, just the missed opportunities that you could have taken part in had it not been for so much time and effort trying to get this one player, and it ultimately just gets snagged away from you. Does it feel like in a way that the Colts kind of lose a part of the offseason that they should have had taken advantage of?
I think it depends on how they pivot, to be honest. Because it depends on, let's say we lose out on L'Jarius Sneed, but it depends on who they go get after that. Like if they go get, I mean, I know a lot of people aren't high on Xavier and Howard, but if they went and signed Xavier and Howard, if they went and signed who else, Tre'Davious White, um, like if they went to go get some of those guys, I don't think it's a loss. Um, my biggest the thing that hurt the most was Kendall Fuller signing with the Dolphins for me.
Yeah.
Um, so that to me, that was we lost out on that if we don't get Sneed. But I don't think the whole offseason is a loss if that happens though. Because I think you can still pivot to a couple of guys. For me, I just I wanted a quality vet safety and a quality vet cornerback because I think that is very important for us to have somebody for the young guys to learn from. To help them, help them develop. So for me, if we capture that going into the draft, then to me it's not a loss. It would be great to have Sneed, but there's other options out there.
Yeah, it's just one of those rare performances where, I mean, I don't think I have ever seen Colts Nation behind a player like this before. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's been other guys
Yeah,
in Colts Nation. Every offseason always falls in love with a guy in particular, and we all want Chris Ballard to go and get him. And I mean, Stephon Gilmore in 2022 was one of them, and that ended up going great. Um, but it's just such a huge investment that people like ourselves have put ourselves into, where we really care about this. We really want this thing to get done. And again, like I said, losing the offseason, I don't necessarily think that means that the Colts are just gonna not be contenders in the AFC South this year, but I'm just saying the amount of the steps that you could take, because
yeah,
just looking at everyone else in the division, right? Texans definitely got better. The Titans definitely made themselves better. Jaguars, some spots
yeah,
maybe. I still don't think they've improved themselves that much.
yeah,
But I think, Jags fans are a little full of it. But when it comes to just everyone else is looking at the Colts and they're just all like, "Oh, you re-signed all your guys. Great." Like, so you're just running it back with the same team again, huh? It's pretty much what we're dealing with right now. So
and see
I hate
that's
it.
why I made that tweet the other day that I said the Colts pretty much have the same team, but again, it's not the same team. Because you get Anthony Richardson back, and if he's anything like we want him to be or expect him to be, that's an upgrade at the quarterback position. Already to me, Joe Flacco's an upgrade at the QB2 position, from Gardner Minshew. And I mean, it's nothing against Gardner. It's just I think Joe Flacco, even at his age of 39, is better. At this point, uh,
Yeah.
we add a backup.
Be careful. Don't say that too loudly, because people in the chat will crucify you for that one. How could you possibly say that well, hold on a second. Hold on, did I see something? Chris Lamons is that's a troll. Chris Lamons just tweeted at Jay Sneed with the eye emojis.
Oh, okay.
So now
Chris
everyone's
Lammers,
like,
what's
wait, wait,
going
wait,
on?
he's tweeting?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on here? Oh, I think he's trolling people. I
He
think
could be.
the Colts players are
Hey, I
just
mean,
trolling.
they played together at and
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in KC.
I don't
But I mean,
know.
that's my thing. Like, and then we add a backup defensive tackle, which we're behind Grover. Because and the thing about that, everybody will sweep that under the rug as a bad signing, but it's not because we saw what happened when Grover was out for those 6 games and how our run defense was terrible.
Yeah,
Because Taven Bryant is not a run defender. He's a pass rushing defensive tackle. He should be a 3 tech behind Buckner. Like
yep.
double A, the same thing. He should be a 3 tech behind Buckner. So that was a big signing for us. And it's bad to expect this, but you have to expect some growth from the young guys. Like you have to expect Juju to be better in year 2. Especially if he makes it through training camp this whole offseason. Last year he was in and out of training camp. Actually, I don't think he practiced at all in training camp. Didn't play any preseason games. That's a big thing. And so I mean, people I know we want the instant gratification, but games aren't played in March.
That is
Like
very true.
games are not played in March. So we don't really know what our team looks like. We know how we ended the season, but we don't really know what they look like going into year 2. And especially the young guys going into year 2 of Gus Bradley's defense. So I'm not saying we should just stick with them because, like I said, I need a vet corner, a vet safety. But again, games aren't played in March, and while on paper, the Texans look good, the Titans look good. I understand the Texans beat us the last game of the season, but we was literally one play away from converting
It
the
was a
first
couple
down.
plays away from it not being that, and then the
Exactly.
narrative would have been different.
Then the narrative would have been different, where we swept the Texans this year, and then we're going to the playoffs and we win the division. So, um, you know, they look good on paper, but again, games aren't played in March. They're played in September through January. So come September, we'll see where we are, see what other moves we make, of course, but we'll see what happens. So I'm not too worried right now. Now, if people start flying off the board, then yeah, I'm gonna get a little concerned.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I wish I could have that confidence. I don't have that right now. I don't have it personally. Okay, well, let's just kind of verge off of the Sneed stuff here for just a moment, and then we'll come back to it. So let me just ask, for free agency purposes, what do you think for freeing up cap space that Ballard's going to do? Because there has to be something, because even if they make the Sneed move, you're basically down to what, like $3 or $4 million left in cap, and there's no way that Ballard's going to let that go. So, like, what do you believe is going to end up happening for them?
I mean, I think there's a couple ways they can go. They don't really do a lot of restructures, but I think they can extend Buckner to free up some cap space. I don't know how many years does Quentin have left.
Everybody in the chat saying cut Mo. Like, literally, I've been saying that for 2 years, bro, and
Yeah,
it
I
ain't
mean,
happened.
I've been saying it too, but my thing is, I think people are going to be really upset with this, but I think Shane Steichen and them like Mo. Like, I think they like
I'm
Mo.
sure they do. I think it's more Ballard than Steichen, to be completely honest
Yeah,
with you. I
it could
don't
be for
think
sure.
that Steichen really cares as much. I think it's more Ballard.
But I mean, if we cut Mo, what that frees up 5.9 million, so that does help. I mean, that's definitely a route they could go. I've been saying it. I think pretty much all of Colts Twitter's been saying it, and it's nothing against Mo. It's just that I think we have better tight ends on the roster than Mo.
I think you could, I mean, again, restructuring like Quentin's deal,
Braden's
restructuring
deal,
Braden's deal, giving Buckner an extension for the next year or two. Because Buckner's about to hit 30.
yeah,
Maybe he might do that extension now just because he wants to have that job security for the next part of his career. And then, like we said, cutting Mo, you could literally free up like 15 to $20 million just doing those moves, and that would allow you to do just so much. But
I
I
mean,
mean,
to be honest, I think they could. What Braden Smith is 28 right now. Let's say they gave him a 2-year extension and moved some of that money from his base salary. Moved it forward to signing bonus. That frees up a little bit of space too. Because I mean, he has what 24 and 25 left on his deal, or 2024 and 2025 left on his contract.
yeah.
So I mean, they could give him a little small extension. Um, like you said, restructure Quentin, extend Buckner. That would be good for Buckner right now too, especially all these defensive tackles getting paid. So I mean, extend Buckner 3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it could definitely happen. I mean, he's gonna have to do something. There's no way we get this Sneed deal done and he doesn't free up any more cap space, because we still got to have. I think right now on over the cap we have about 18 million in effective cap space, and that still isn't factoring in the 4.5 million that we have going to Flacco.
Yeah, so as it stands, what I'm looking at for over the cap for Colts right now is 22.6 mil. But like you said, it doesn't include Flacco's deal. I have a feeling that they're trying to they're trying to make it more incentive based rather than like a flat rate.
Yeah.
And they have Rigoberto's one in there, which is good. The great thing about what Ballard has done is the majority of these contracts that he's given these guys, the majority of it is getting pushed to that second or third year year of that contract, which is fantastic work and what you need to do. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they move this along. So in 22.6 right now, outside of the Flacco deal. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I don't know what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah, and I've heard, possibly this thing could get done by Monday, like announced by Monday. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah, some money has to be moved around. They got to do something, especially because if we're gonna do this, then you got to address safety. And if there's, if we're waiting for this domino to fall to address safety, there has to be something on the verge. And maybe that's another thing they're doing in the background, trying to move around some money so that way they can get this deal done and announced. So that way we're not over the cap.
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. It makes me truly believe that it truly does come down to the Sneed deal in regards to what Ballard's going to do with the cap going forward. Because if the cap wasn't an issue one way or the other, you would just make the moves anyway. But you're waiting for, and that's another thing I would say that goes towards the fact that the Colts are pursuing this hard, is because if they weren't pursuing Sneed, then they have $20 million to bring back Blackman and another safety. You could easily do that with $18 to $20 million. So that wouldn't be an issue. But what the reason why we haven't seen them do anything yet is because you're looking at it and saying that you're trying to find this big move, and then you make whatever necessary moves you have to make to be able to get whatever guys you need left, and then be able to figure out what you're going to do.
Exactly.
So this is funny. Hold on. I'm going to post this here. Share this. So it says Sneed has been spotted at the Cheesecake Factory just outside of Indy near Greenwood. And it's funny because the responses to this tweet, the number one thing I hear is, I'm struggling to find Sneed in this picture. This is a funny tweet. Really want Ballard to sign Willie Sneed to a minimum deal just to show how petty he is. Like, bro, that would be That would
Hey,
be trolling on so many levels.
hey, that was sending
Oh,
Twitter, that was sending Colts Twitter into a frenzy if that
I
happened.
yeah, Ballard might have riots outside of the practice facility tomorrow.
If
Oh
he
man.
did that, sign Willie Sneed, I'd laugh.
Is what do you want the safety room to look like for Indy? I know people have talked about um bringing Blackman back. We've heard the mutual interest in Quandre Diggs, and there's still Justin Simmons that's out there on a big deal. There's a couple of guys still there. What do you want the safety room to be done?
Personally, I want Diggs. When I saw the Seahawks released him, and I live in Seattle, so when I saw they released him, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I would love his name to be one of the names that Indy, that announced that Indy signed. I think he's still a really good safety. I think he's like 31 or 32, but I still think he has, some left in the tank, but maybe like a 2-year deal. Um, and then to be honest, if we brought Blackman back, I would love that, but I wouldn't mind Cross playing in the box. Like, I wouldn't mind Cross being the box safety, being the strong safety, and then having Diggs play free safety. Um, or I mean, we could just get a safety in the draft too. Like, that works too. But I don't really want to go young in the secondary or go super young in the secondary. But I wouldn't mind Cross being a box safety. He played a lot better when he played in the box than he did when he was playing out there playing free. When he played in the box, he was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why a lot of people don't want to have Julian Blackman back. I mean, even this last year when he, changed positions from free safety to strong safety, he had his best season of his entire career. And people also have to remember that his rookie year, I mean, Blackman was second overall in defensive rookie of the year voting. It only came down to him and Chase Young. So I mean, he was really good regardless. I mean, that's the great part about Julian Blackman is you can have a situation where you bring him in and you feel confident that whatever safety you have to line up next to him, you can play him at whatever spot is best going to fit this defense, which is exactly what I want them to have happen. But I mean, I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and I just don't know why we haven't seen, more like momentum on the Julian Blackman front right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with that. Like, if it's because of his injury history, which I mean, what, the shoulder at the end of the season and the Achilles 2 years ago or something like that. So I don't really know like what's really going on with that, on why they don't want him back, because he was healthy this whole season until
Yeah.
what, the last few weeks.
Last like
Um,
2 or 3 games. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, but I would love to have Julian Blackman back. It sucks we lost Kari Willis. That one still
Yeah.
hurts.
Tell me about it. Kari Willis was Cody's favorite player when he ended up going. So
Yeah, that one still hurts because him and Blackman that'd have been the safety duo right there.
now, if the reports are true that the Colts have this on lockdown, but they're, just trying to work on the contract and it's taking a very long time. What did you think of the draft compensation about it being just a third this year and then an additional pick next year, which I presume is probably going to be either a third rounder or later at that point? What did you think of the draft compensation for that?
I thought it was good. I think last week I had said something about if we sent 2 3s to the Chiefs, would we do that trade for Sneed? And everybody was like, "Oh," or Chiefs fans were like, "That's not happening. We need like a second or something like that." And I'm like, well, considering we got to give him a contract, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, you're gonna get 2/3 and you're gonna like it. So I mean, I think that's good draft comp for him. Like, the fact that you have to pay him and you have to pay him towards the top of the league, that drives down the price. And what did Brian Burns just go for? He just went for like a third and something to the Giants, and he's a pass rusher, and he got 30 million a year. But the fact that you have to pay them, that drives that price down. You can't get premium picks and expect me to have to pay for a player.
All right, we got over 6,000 people watching right now. Oh my gosh. If this is an actual number and this isn't like StreamYard bugging, then this is the largest amount we have had since the Jeff Saturday presser that we did the live stream on for that one. Other than that, this is the largest one we've had ever. Well, I'll tell you this. I've been thinking about it, and I said I love the draft compensation if that's going to end up being the number. Yeah, guys, I know it says 350 on YouTube, but it says that there's like 6,000 people watching on Twitter right now. So, I mean, that's insane. But either way, you can call me crazy if you want to. I'll take full responsibility for this take if you want to call me crazy, and I'm sure the chat will let me know. I was okay with the Colts trading their first round pick to get L'Jarius Sneed. I was okay with it. Now, I know a lot of people are like, again, I didn't want to give up that 15. I just like everybody else. I did not want to have to give up that 15, but I would have been saying if that is the ultimate deciding factor in bringing that guy in, I thought it was worth it, because at the end of the day, if you have a bona fide top corner to come into your scheme, even if he's only going to be there for 3 years, that's still 3 years of potentially elite play in your defense that you can have that you're not sure whether or not you're going to actually get from anyone else that you could have taken at that 15th overall. I'm just saying. Nobody knows.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. To me, that's too rich for my blood, though. I mean, I get we're giving, you're getting the top corner, but for me, it's just like we gotta pay him.
Yeah,
that's what keeps me from being like, yeah, send the 15. If we didn't have to pay him and he was already on a contract, then I'd be like, all right, cool. And like, KC decided, like, yeah, we'll eat like, half of it or a quarter of it or whatever. Then I'd be like, all right, cool, send 15. But the fact we gotta pay him and all that, I'm like, I don't know. Send him a third. Let him be happy. Or I would also be cool with like if we did second round pick swaps, like we did a second round pick swap and sent them a third next year, like a fourth next year, something like that. I would be cool with that too. Because what they're picking is 64 and we're at 46.
Yeah.
So they'll be moving up, about 18 spots. So I wouldn't be mad at that either. But yeah, I mean, or even I don't really want to pick swap the first though, because 32.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, how much you think this deal is going to be? I mean, obviously that's the big aspect of this, right? How much you think this is going to be?
I think it'll be 20 mil.
You think it's that low?
Yeah. I have a hard time believing we're going to pay him 22 million when Jalen Johnson just got 19 million.
Yeah.
And granted, I know L'Jarius Sneed has the championship experience, and so that's why I'll push it up to 20 million. But he doesn't have an all-pro. Jalen Johnson does. Jalen Johnson's also 24, I believe.
Yeah,
L'Jarius Sneed is 27. And L'Jarius Sneed is also coming with this perceived knee issue that he has. So I mean, it's hard for me to believe that the price would be 22 million when everything else shows that it shouldn't.
I'm surprised by that. I get what you're coming from with it, and that's the logical aspect of this. I totally get it. I think that at that point you're thinking that the guarantee money definitely has to be
it has to be high.
It has to be the issue of what's going on with it. Because it was funny. I was talking with my friend earlier this morning, and I was telling him about like what it's going to take and everything else. And he's big into this stuff, but at the same time, he's like, really? You guys are getting him for only a third and another pick? Is like, how? Like, they could have gotten him for so much more. And I was like, you clearly haven't been paying attention to everything that's been said on Twitter. That literally everyone has been saying that the main reason why they can't get any higher is because the team has to pay this guy. And the team that he's going to is going to have to pay 20 plus mil, at that sort of situation. So, I mean, it's hard to just say, hey, here's this 27-year-old corner that doesn't have any accolades outside of, a Super Bowl. And at the end of the day, it's just, you can't really just stick just to that. And then he's like, well, I mean, it just seems like they should have gotten more. And, and especially since his contract's not going to be that high. And I'm like, you clearly don't know how good this guy actually is.
Yeah, and I mean, and Sneed is legit. My thing is just, I do agree. The guarantees have to be like, if you're going to give him, 20 million average a year, your guarantees have to be somewhere up there. So like, let's say, it's 4 years, 80 million, which I don't think they'll do. I think it'll be 3 years, about 60 million, somewhere close to that. I think I put it on Twitter, like I would give him 3 years, 55 million, and like 40 or 50 million or something guaranteed. I forgot how much I said guaranteed, but let's say it's 3 years, 60 million. I think you would at least have to guarantee at least 70% of that. To actually get the deal done. To me, I think that's the biggest hang up on a lot of these deals is the guaranteed money. And usually Ballard likes to have that. If he's going to give a 3-year deal, he likes to have that out after year 2. Which I'm cool with. But also I'm good with the 3-year deal because L'Jarius need to be 30. We'll have to re-up Juju. We'll have to re-up Josh Downs. We'll have to re-up Anthony Richardson if he is, the future. So at that point, to me, that's a good contract. But yeah, you gotta. My thing is you gotta pay to play, and I think 20 million that gets him over Jalen Johnson, and it makes him. I don't know if it's the highest paid, but it's close.
It's not
to
the
it.
highest. I think
Yeah, it's close
Denzel
to
Ward
it.
is still under a contract that has the highest.
That's right. I forgot about Ward.
I think there's there's Ramsey has 20. I think Jair Alexander has one, and I think Ward has one.
Yeah, Jair is at 21 a year. Denzel's at 20.1 and Ramsey's at 20. So yeah, I think if you put Sneed somewhere around there with Ramsey, I think that gets the deal done. I don't think you have to go above that. 22 is crazy to me. Like that's a lot of bread.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that is a lot, dude.
Let me see. Yeah, I think about 3 years, 60 million. If you guarantee about 70% of that, that's about 42 million guaranteed. I think that's good. Nothing more than that.
All right. Well, I'm only going to be on here for another minute or two, guys, before we hop off here. But appreciate, again, everybody tuning in. Over 7,000 people based on what I'm seeing from over here. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate everyone that's here. Man, I'll tell you what, man, I just need this to be done. Honestly, I don't even care whether it, I don't care if it's for, I don't care if we get him or not. I just need something to be said.
Yeah, I'm gonna smoke my cigar either way. It's either gonna be I'm gonna be celebrating, I'm gonna be disappointed. Either way, I'm smoking my cigar. Whatever happens. But yeah, I mean, look, if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. If it does, hey, we move on.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one here, guys. Thank you to everyone that is tuning in. Shout out to all of you. Hopefully we hear some news here soon, but that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. And as always, guys, go Colts.